Steamboat is gearing up to launch the first occupied cabin on the longest gondola in North America in the coming month or so. This headliner project, going by the name of Wild Blue Gondola, is an absolute game changer. But this is far from the only high-value project Steamboat is completing as part of its initiative. Today, we're looking through the past and ongoing projects as we break down Steamboat's Full Steam Ahead program. The Full Steam Ahead project is a $200 million venture that has seen and will see massive redevelopment on and off the mountain. A large part of the project is to make the ski resort more environmentally friendly, but that's for a different video. You guys are here for the experience improvements. So let's go back to the summer of 2021 at the base area. The summer of 2021 didn't feature too many flashy projects compared to what we'll get into in a couple of minutes. Instead, it featured the tearing down of a major building and a reconstruction in its place. That summer, the first project was to move the Steamboat Gondola's lower terminus from inside a building to a little bit higher up on the hill with a brand new terminal skin provided by the manufacturer. To be honest, I anticipated that this would make the gondola harder to access, but to be honest, it didn't make too much of a difference. And in all reality, it seems like the new outdoor maze can handle the big lines better than those inside the old building. Once the gondola terminal was moved out of the building was demolished, leaving a wide open space that Steamboat then utilized to redesign their entrance with escalators and a large cobblestone terrace. Nowadays, you get off a bus at the transit center and ascend one of a pair of escalators as the mountain and lifts come into view. It's more crucial than most people believe to get a good start to the day. Having a nice entrance to the mountain does just that. Additionally, in 21, the resort started grading the terrain that would soon be transformed into Greenhorn Ranch. In order to reduce congestion at the base area, Steamboat identified a spot on the mountain near the base of the Thunderhead Express that would serve as the new home to the Learning Center and Snow Sports School. This spot was named Greenhorn Ranch and is now home to its own snowmaking, several carpets, banked and carved runs to help beginners learn to turn, the headquarters for Snow Sports School, and a short detachable quad chairlift. The construction of this entire area was one of two headlining projects of the summer of 2022. Moving the learning up onto the mountain was a very smart move in several ways, and it has worked out well for Steamboat so far. They built a catered progression of rollers, berms, and carpets to accelerate the learning process. This new on-mountain learning facility will be a staple of Steamboat for years to come, and immediately makes it so much more viable for first-timers than it was before. In order to access this new facility, the first stage of the fabled Wild Blue Gondola was also constructed, in order to allow access and egress that doesn't require brand new skiers mixing with more experienced and faster guests on the bigger runs. We'll talk a lot more about Wild Blue in just a minute. Down in the base area, various odds and ends were wrapped up to finish the revitalized entrance to the resort. In order to fit in the new Wild Blue lower terminal, the terminal of the Christie Peak Express was relocated a couple dozen yards to the looker's right. In addition, the preview lift, which was the old learning area, was removed because it was replaced by Greenhorn Ranch. And to clean up the final pitches of the busiest runs in the resort, the mountain coaster was removed. The removal of the coaster makes a lot of sense under the assumption that it was underutilized and didn't make the resort much money. Having extra closed areas on those base area greens was just unnecessary and honestly wasn't great aesthetically. The biggest of these base area projects was the construction of the ice rink, right front and center with a beautiful view of the resort. Aside from a cafeteria that wouldn't be complete until the following summer, called The Range, the Skeeter's Ice Rink and other small base area projects marked the end of construction in the base village. Now, as previously mentioned, the other headlining project of 2022 was the construction of the lower leg of the Wild Blue Gondola. The Wild Blue Gondola is such a massive machine that it required 2 construction seasons to build. The first stage, which runs up to Greenhorn Ranch, can run at 6 meters per second, which is the same speed as the Steamboat Gondola. It's fast, needless to say. But the upper stage, which runs from Greenhorn Ranch all the way to the summit of Sunshine Peak, is even faster, running at 7 meters per second. This makes it the fastest gondola in North America, and one of a very exclusive club worldwide. The reason for the fast and even faster speeds on the 2 legs is that Wild Blue is now also the longest gondola in North America. Wild Blue has a multitude of benefits. For one, as already discussed, it provides access to Greenhorn Ranch, but the biggest change that most guests will notice is a drastic reduction in lift lines at the base. In the past, the Steamboat Gondola got extremely overwhelmed on powder and peak days, as it was the primary access to get to all of the terrain at the top of the mountain, where most guests wanted to go to access the legendary champagne powder of Steamboat. Sure, you could get around it by going Christie Peak to Thunderhead, but most guests just decided to wait in line. Now, guests can go directly to the top of the mountain. Rather than taking the Steamboat Gondola and then dispersing to Sundown and Storm Peak, Wild Blue takes guests straight to the action. Wild Blue is a luxury gondola. It has the latest in every technology and can practically run itself. Guests will ride the 3.16-mile gondola from base to summit in just 13 minutes at full speed. Its over 210-passenger luxury cabins will be able to transport up to 3,200 people per hour, which is only slightly less than the Steamboat Gondola. This almost doubling in the capacity to access the upper mountain at a base is going to be huge. Now, a word of advice. I can't tell you for sure, but my guess is that the Wild Blue lines are going to be longer than the Steamboat Gondola lines, as guests learn that Wild Blue gets them where they want to be faster than the 2-lift trip they're used to. So, if Wild Blue gets a long line, don't be afraid to take the Steamboat Gondola instead. There will definitely be people who forget that that lift exists as a result of the completion of Wild Blue. This past summer of 2023 saw 2 headliner projects. One was the construction of Wild Blue Stage 2, which is very close to its finishing. The other was the Mahogany Ridge expansion. Mahogany Ridge is a 650-acre expansion to the north of the old boundary, to the looker's left of Pony Express. This is a huge advanced and experts-only expansion that is going to elevate Steamboat's difficult terrain experience. It'll be all gladed skiing, providing so much more space to experience that legendary powder. It's anchored by a new high-speed quad, and is only accessible from the Pony Pod. It won't get very busy because of its remote location, making this a haven for those advanced enough to ski it. Steamboat was already well known for its tree skiing, and this is a huge expansion in that department. This project will open sometime during the 2023-24 season, and will be hailed as the final project of Full Steam Ahead to be completed. In addition to the 2 headliners this summer, another major addition, that of snowmaking, was implemented on the Sunshine part of the mountain, one of the most popular terrain zones at the resort. This is just to ensure more consistent cover on some of the most highly skied runs on the mountain. So now, what's next? Well, Steamboat's master plan has a couple of other projects planned. In all likelihood, the coming projects are going to be the construction of an expansion to the looker's right of the current Sunshine lift, and a bunch of replacements for the older lifts at the resort. But all that is for a different video. As always, please leave any questions down below. Thank you all so much for watching. All my love, I'm out.